Hi everyone, welcome to Art Lessons with Rossi. Today we're going to be working on a self-portrait. And specifically in this first video of two, I'm going to be showing you how to do the organizational line drawing of a portrait and how to break up the face into its correct proportions before starting to use a mirror and putting your own features onto this grid work. So each of you should have this handout. Yes, it's a picture of me. And I have broken up the face into its general proportions. All of these work for basically most people. There's very few differences between all of our faces. The differences come in the shape of our chins, in the shapes of our lips, in the shapes of our noses and eyes. But where they sit on the face is actually the same for everyone. So here's how we're going to get started. First, I want you guys to create a vertical line. And that vertical line is going to be the middle of our face. It's going to represent from the top of our forehead to the bottom of our chin. So this vertical line is going to represent from the top of our forehead to the bottom of our chin. The second step is to take this line and break it up into 3 equal sections. I want you to make sure that those sections are the same size. So don't skimp on this part. Make sure that you measure. Make sure that they are exactly the same. Otherwise, your face ends up being a little bit funny. So if they're not exactly the same, you can make changes. So extend one of the lines down a little bit if you don't feel like it's long enough, or make it shorter, whatever you need to do to make sure that these are all the same size. Now that we've done that section, so this is going to represent from the top of the forehead to the eyebrow line to the nose line to the chin line. Our face is actually the same width as one of these measurements on the left and on the right. So if I take this measurement from the chin to the nose line and I turn it and place it on the right hand side, and then I take that same measurement, turn it, place it on the left hand side, that will give me the width of my face. Well, this is the height of my face. If you look at the handout, I've actually broken up these elements with the letter A. So this section, this section, this section are all the same size, and so is the width of the face on the right and the width of the face on the left. Now that I have that width, what I'll do is I'll add vertical lines to represent the edges of the face. And I'm going to put horizontal lines through each of these sections, creating 6 equal squares. Here's another opportunity to just check your work and really ask yourself, are they the same size? You can make corrections if you feel like they're not. Okay, so now I have 6 equal squares and really a rectangle. This is going to represent just our face, but our head is so much more than that. You know, we're not just a face. So we really need to add the rest of our head, our cranium. How we're going to do that is we're going to take one of these measurements and we're going to find the halfway point, and we're going to take this measurement and we're going to put it on the top of our rectangle. So this measurement, I'm going to just use my pencil again. For any of these measurements, you don't need to use a ruler. You can just use your pencil like you do when we cite and make sure that things are correct. I can now erase that middle line. I can erase my little arrow. Okay, so now that I have where the top of my head starts, I can use a circle and an ellipse to represent the shapes, the general shapes of my head and my face. First, we'll start with a circle from the line that I just added to my nose line, which is this line that's 1/3 up. I'm going to make a nice big circle. So make sure that that circle is symmetric, that it's nice and wide, that it's not squished like an ellipse, and that it doesn't look like a muffin. It's a nice big circle. It should extend out past the rectangle that you have drawn. Now I want you to put an ellipse inside of this rectangle. Starting at the top of the head, or excuse me, the top of the face, I want you to make a curve that goes all the way to the edge of that rectangle. Have it almost vertically go down and then curve to the bottom of the chin. Make sure that it's symmetrical on the other side. Don't make a skinny little ellipse in a giant circle or something like that. Otherwise, we'll end up with a weird alien head. Okay, so now we have the general proportions, the face and the head. We can now start breaking up these proportions further into their basic characteristics. So from the bottom of the nose to the bottom of the chin, we're going to take this line and we're going to break it in half. We're going to check our work every time to make sure that these proportions are correct. Again, otherwise things look funny. Let's see if I can do it. This middle line that I just broke this line up in half is going to represent the bottom of my lip. From the top of my nose, from the bottom of my nose to the bottom of the lip, if I break that up in half again, I'll get the top of the lip. If I take the measurement between the top of the lip and the bottom of the lip and I break that up into thirds, I'll get the middle of the mouth, which is the top third. Let's now go one more section. If you go from the bottom of the lip to the bottom of the chin, and you break that up in thirds, and we keep the top third, we'll get the labrae, that section that goes in between your chin and your lips, an important section that is going to give a lot of characteristic to your face. Let's now go to this middle section from the bottom of the nose to the top of the eyebrow line. If we take this section and break that up into thirds, and again, it's important here that they're the same size. And we're going to use this top third. And this top third is going to represent from the top of the eyebrow to the bottom of the eye. So everything that has to do with our eyes is going to fit within that one section. I'm going to take this section from the top of the eyebrow to the bottom of the eye, and I'm going to break that up into thirds. And I'm going to extend these lines all the way. And what these lines will represent are the top of the eyebrow, the top of the eye, the middle of the eye, the bottom of the eye. And you can see those proportions here if you're following along in the handout. I've done everything that I can going horizontally, breaking up this vertical line and then drawing my horizontal lines. Now I need to break up the face in the other direction, vertically. And the section that I want to start with are the eyes. So I want to make 8 equal sections on this entire part of the face. It's a little difficult to do, so I'm going to take it into 2 different chunks. From the middle of the face to the side of the face, I'm going to first break that up in half. I'm going to check that those 2 sections are the same. I'm going to take from this side of the face to the middle of the face, and I'm going to break that up in half. And I'm going to make sure that these 4 sections are all the same size. It's important to do that, otherwise your eyes might look off. They could look like you're cross-eyed. So make sure that you take some time and you measure in this step. So now I've broken up this whole section into fourths. Let's break it up into eighths. From the middle of the face to the eye, to the middle of the eye, let's break that up in half. From the middle of the eye to the edge of the face, let's break that up in half. And let's do the same on the other side. So now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 equal sections, basically each side of the face broken up into 4 equal sections. Let's use these measurements to get the other parts of our features. These 2 lines are representing the interior part of our eyes. If we bring down that line, it's going to give us the edge of our nose. If we take this line, which is the line that our pupil sits on, and we bring down that line, we'll find the edge of the mouth. Now this line, the edge of the mouth line, it's not the colored part of your lips, it's everything that your mouth is representing, which the part of our lips that have color are usually just a little bit smaller than that edge, but the edge of our mouth is going to end with that pupil line. Let's talk a little bit more about what all these lines represent. This middle one is going to be where our pupil sits. These lines are going to represent the exteriors of our eyes, and then the bottom and top of our eye. So our eye is going to fit within this section, and our eyebrow is going to be somewhere on that line. Same thing on this side, edges of the eyes, bottom and top of the eye. Basically, we look a little bit like a robot at this point, and that's okay. We're going to start to fill in with real features in the next video. Now, we can't forget that we have ears. So from the top of the eyebrow line to the bottom of the nose is where our ear sits. Usually we can't see all of the ear from this front view, but we know that they sit within that section. So while we have this organizational line drawing that's just the framework, they're going to look a little bit big, and then we'll make them the correct size. We don't want to be a floating head, so we need a neck. The neck's going to sit inside of the chin. So inside of those chin lines, it's going to go down, and then we're going to have shoulders that are at a slightly different slope because of our trapezius muscles. So this is the beginning framework and the proportions of our face. What I want you to do for our assignment is to make this structure as big on your 24 by 18 sheet of paper as you can, basically making it life size. After, we're going to go to a mirror in the next video, and I'm going to show you how to put your own features on top of this framework. But hopefully you now understand how to use this handout and what each of these sections mean. I'm going to turn my page and just show you how I loosely put features in on one of these framework pieces so that you can see, have a better idea of what it will look like in the future. So here is that same framework with some features on it. Ours are going to be even more precise, but this is the nose line, the labrae line, middle of the mouth, top of the mouth, edges of the mouth that we know correspond with the pupil line. The eyes are going to fit within this section. Eyebrows are going to fit on that line. Our ears are going to be within this space. And this is going to be our face. The rest is going to represent our cranium. We're going to have a neck, and we're going to have shoulders and a shirt. Please don't put these features onto that grid line until you watch the next video. I look forward to seeing you guys soon. Let me know if you have any questions, and see you in part 2 of this video. Thanks.